Well, for more on the interim report that we received from the Hogue Commission, we're now joined by Stephanie Carvin, Associate Professor at Carleton University, also a former national security analyst. Stephanie, good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
So, this report doesn't really condemn or heavily criticize any one player, but it seems very clear that Commissioner Hogue believes there needs to be action to counter foreign interference, and she means action now. Don't wait for her final report at the end of the year. Do you understand that urgency, that sense of concern?
Yes, I do, in the sense that, Justice Hogue is very clear in stipulating in her report that this isn't just a problem about elections. This is really about, as she describes it, a stain on our democracy and, the idea of free and fair elections generally, and really kind of integrity in our electoral system. And if we do not address some of these larger concerns, then this breeds a climate of distrust. People may lose faith in whether or not Canada can really have a free and fair election, in which case that is going to damage our democracy overall. So we're not talking here about, ballot counting. We're not talking here about, whether or not marginal seats could have gone one way or the other. But the idea that the entire system is at risk unless Canadians have confidence that their votes, that their democracy is being protected from foreign interference.
Mm-hmm. Now, the public safety minister did address the media today. It seems to be hinting that there is going to be action and action soon, something to come in the very near future. But what's been the delay here? We've been talking about foreign interference for well over a year right now. We've been talking about a foreign agents registry ever since, the story has been hitting the papers again for months. How long does it actually take?
This is such a good question, and one I've been having. And I would suggest it's not even a year we've been waiting. It's really since the 2022 so-called Freedom Convoy, right? And we learned through the Public Order Emergency Commission that there's really key gaps in our national security architecture in this country, in particular the way that information flows from the intelligence community to people in government, that there's holes in terms of how individuals can be informed about various national security threats, right? These are things that have been a constant theme we've been hearing about for the last 2 years. So a number of us, especially academics who study these issues, we've been waiting for a new legislative package to be introduced. But we're still waiting. I mean, we hear rumors that something will be coming very, very soon. But in particular, I think it's fairly well known that the government has a foreign agent registry ready to go, but has not introduced that. Why that's up to them, I'm not sure. But I think at the heart of this, and perhaps we've seen this in terms of the government response to this issue and foreign interference generally, national security really isn't at the heart of the Trudeau government. It is a government that introduced itself with sunny ways. National security is the opposite of sunny ways, right? It's dark and stormy. It's kind of the opposite of that. So I think that they've wanted to focus on things like housing, on dental plans, things I'm sure you've covered a lot on your program. So I just don't think that this is necessarily where the government wants to focus a lot of its political capital. But it's getting to the point, and to get back to Justice Hogue's report, that this is no longer necessarily about, what's great for the government, but what's really kind of good for the country in terms of ensuring that Canadians have faith in our democracy and our electoral system.
Mm-hmm. I do wonder, as we have these conversations, Stephanie, I wonder about Canada's reputation among other countries when it comes to combating foreign interference, when it comes to other countries assessing whether or not Canada is an easy target to interfere in. What is the reputation that Canada has?
I think we don't want to over-exaggerate the idea that we are somehow an anomaly among our allies, right? All countries have experienced and are experiencing foreign interference in different ways. If you go to Europe, they're absolutely obsessed and concerned with Russian foreign interference in their electoral processes and in their information environment. Recently, I traveled to Japan, and they have great concerns about how China may be interfering in some of its political issues. Taiwan, certainly the same case, right? So we're not alone in this. And if anything, I think that what we need to be doing doing is working more with our allies. And when we see these behaviors, to call them out as a community of democracies, right? Canada will always speak louder when it speaks with its allies. I don't think that we are seen as any kind of weak link in the chain, as it were. But there are, I think, concerns about, certain weaknesses in our legislation, certain restrictions that we have. And I think our allies would like to see us do more, right? And do more. They don't want Canada to do less. They want Canada to do more and to contribute to this kind of overall, I think, Western effort to try and identify and do something about these foreign interference threats, which aren't just a national security problem, but are a policy problem that, really we could all be working, coming together and working on trying to find transnational solutions to.
Dr. Stephanie Carvin, always appreciate the time. Thank you for that.
Thanks for having me on.